Hey everybody, and welcome back to my channel, and welcome to this week's Friday Reads, where I talk about everything that I read in the last week, what I'm currently in the middle of, and what I think I'm going to be getting to next week. And I am very excited to report that I actually, did finish Library Wars, Love and War, adapted or story by Kiro Yumi and original concept by Hiru Arakawa. So I had wanted to finish this in the month of July, and I did. I read volumes 5 through 15 in a weekend. It was a lot. But essentially, this is a really interesting manga series where we're in an alternate version of Japan, where the national government has decided to censor media, and they form a committee to do that called the Media Betterment Committee. The local government, led by the libraries, are not down with censorship, and so they actually form their own articles and rules that they're going to follow, as well as forming their own defense force to protect the libraries against these censorship raids by the Media Betterment Committee. Enter our main character of Iku Kasahara, and she has joined the defense forces, and she is the first woman that is asked to be part of the Defense Task Force, which is actually an elite group within the defense forces. And this is kind of, we follow her as she settles into her new team and settles into her job, I guess. And the stories go from there. This is my third time rereading it, and I really, really do like this particular graphic novel series. First and foremost, I really do like the stories that we get in this. The plots are really interesting. I love the characters that we have. Sometimes Iku can get on my nerves a little bit, but I do find that, like, what's happening around her and how everybody reacts to her, it, like, makes it okay. And I do actually like watching her grow and change over the course of this series. And just generally, I really like, because we're talking about censorship and these kinds of things, this series has a lot to say about freedom and what you need to do to retain those freedoms, which is very relevant to today. But also it has some interesting things to say about censorship within that conversation as well. I really like it. I think it's a lot of really interesting discussions. Also, just generally, I like the art style, although sometimes it's really difficult to tell some of the male characters apart. But generally, I did pretty good with it, actually. There are a couple things that really do make this more of a struggle to read. It's very dated, and the sexism in this is very interesting because Kasahara is the first woman on the Defense Task Force, and it's very interesting how people handle this. They're like, they make kind of a big deal about it because she's the first one, and like, we wouldn't expect a woman to be able to be part of the defense force, but then they watch her and they're like, oh yeah, you totally are qualified. So it's not like they're really like getting hate. She's not getting hate for being a woman on the Defense Task Force. But then like everybody's also kind of like, oh, we wouldn't expect most women to be able to do this. It's very strange. It's just, I don't know. I don't really know what to do with it. It's one of those things where you're like, this doesn't make me feel good in some places, but it's also like not the worst it could be. It's weird. And like I said, it is dated. I don't actually know when this was like made or translated or anything, but either way, it like I said, it feels dated. It was just this side of okay for me, but I could also see some people being like, I just don't want it. The other issue that people may run into is the romantic relationship. So this is Shoujo Beat, and so it's like a YA that is aimed at girls specifically. And there is romance in this, and it's another one that I could see a lot of people having problems with because there are unequal power dynamics at play in this relationship, and they're never addressed. and to some extent I get it, because a lot of times you don't address those kind of power dynamics in a YA kind of book, but it also feels a little bit icky. Again, this is one of those things where it's just like, I recognize that it was a problem, but I was mostly okay with it because of everything else that I was enjoying. So like, I was okay. I'm not normally okay. I can see why a lot of people wouldn't be okay. But generally speaking, I do think it's just a really fun read. And especially if you go in knowing that there are some problems with this, you'll do much better. But for all of the volumes, I rated them between 3.5 and 4.25 stars, except for the last one, volume 15, which I rated 5 stars. And then also in the month of July, I finished A Prayer for the Crownshy by Becky Chambers, the second book in the Monk and Robot series. So the Monk and Robot series is an adult science fiction series, and we are on a moon of some distant planet. But in this future, at some point in their past, the robots gained sentience and decided to not help humans anymore. They went off into the woods to figure themselves out, but they did leave with a promise that they would come and check on humanity in the future. Enter our main character of Dex, who is a T-Monk, and they were kind of just doing their thing, going on their route, when a robot came out of the woods and asked, "What do you need?" And the first story goes from there. Now in this one, Dex and the robot, Moscap, are taking their duty very seriously and asking various people, "What do you need?" And the story goes from there. This is very much a continuation of the first book. So if you liked the first book, there's a good chance you're going to like this second book. And if you didn't like the first book, I'm not sure that this is going to save it for you. It continues to ask some existential questions like, you know, how do I handle it when all my basic needs are met and I still feel unfulfilled? That's a big recurrent question. I love this world. I think that it is so nice to be in a world where like everybody's basic needs are taken care of. Like that is just really nice to be in a world like that. And I thought it was interesting to kind of watch Dex and Moscap, you know, figure out how they're going to go about asking this question and how they're going to find people and like how it relates to themselves. So I liked it. I liked the first one, so it makes sense that I liked the second one. Same as with the first one, I did find this to have this kind of commentary that was running through it that occasionally got kind of pointed in a way that was a detraction for me specifically, which is why these aren't 5-star reads for me. But I still think that it was better than in this second book. It was better than in the first book, and it wasn't enough to really hinder my enjoyment. So I finished this. I enjoyed it. I gave it 4.5 stars. And then the last thing that I read is Diamond Fire by Ilona Andrews. So this is a novella that comes in between the two trilogies of the Hidden Legacies series, which is an adult urban fantasy paranormal romance kind of series. So there's the first 3 books are part of their own trilogy. It has a romantic arc to it. It finishes up. And then in the second trilogy, we're following a different character, and it is also a trilogy with its own romantic arc. And this is the novella that bridges the two. We are following Catalina Baylor, who is our character for the second trilogy, as she is trying to solve this mystery before her older sister's wedding and keep it quiet. And it's difficult, basically. I can't really explain it because it's a novella, so it's only 150 pages, so it's like I don't really want to accidentally spoil anything, but that's the gist. And I really like it because I really like this series. I think that this is a really interesting world to be in. I love Catalina as a main character. I think I like Nevada too, which is the main character from the original trilogy, but I also just really enjoy Catalina. So this was just a really nice, lovely reread. I think I gave it 4-ish stars. I enjoyed it. Which means I am now only in the middle of one book, which is Crown Duel by Sherwood Smith. So this is Crown Duel is the first book in a duology. I do not remember the name of the duology, but in it we are following our main character of Mel. And Mel is part of is a countess, maybe? I'm not sure. Her dad dies and basically exacts a promise from Mel and her older sister that they will expose the king for breaking a covenant that has been a long-standing agreement between their kingdom and the local hill folk. And so Mel has her work cut out for her because she is her little county, I don't know what her area of the land is called, but they are a little bit poor, so they don't have a ton of money to fight this, but she is absolutely determined to root out this corruption, and the story goes from there. And I am on page 8. I am not very far into this. This is a favorite of mine from when I was a kid, so I am very hopeful that it will hold up and, you know, I'll enjoy getting back into it. So, as for next week, obviously, I would like to finish Crown Duel. I really want to like this. I really hope that this holds up. And so I'm going to try to finish it this coming week. Additionally, I am probably going to pick up Sapphire Flames by Ilona Andrews, which is the 4th book in the Hidden Legacies series. It's the first one that is following Catalina. I am doing a reread of these because the 6th book and the final book in this second trilogy is supposed to come out at the end of August. So I want to read this in preparation for that. And I will probably also at some point pick up Once Broken Faith by Shauna Maguire, which is the 10th book in the October Day series. My buddy has already informed me that she has picked this up and is in the middle of it, and I have some catching up to do. So I'm going to try to pick this up pretty soon so that I don't fall too far behind, but yeah, that is also something that is likely to appear next week. Now, the only other thing that I did want to mention is that I will be on vacation. Oh no, I actually have 2 announcements. My bad. I'm going to be on vacation next week, and so I don't know if I'm going to have a Friday Reads next week because it's all going to depend on whether or not I can find time and space to film, which I don't actually know that that's going to happen. So don't be alarmed if I don't have a Friday Reads next week. However, you are still going to get at least 2 videos next week because I realized that I had a bunch of videos that I wanted to get caught up on. And if I try to only do 2 videos a week for the month of August, I am never going to catch up. So I'm going to try to do at least some weeks have 3 videos to try to catch up. But we'll see how many weeks in August I manage to do that with. We'll see. At the very least for next week, you will definitely get at least 2, maybe even 3. But that is it. So if you have any thoughts or feelings about any of the books that I talked about in this video, please leave me a comment down below. But that is all I have. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you want to. And until next time, have happy reading, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!